Hi and welcome to an extremely cool and extremely special tutorial, which is a thank you for over 2,000 subscriptions to this channel. And what makes this tutorial so special is that we are going to create a real-world application from the ground up. So there are not everything is going to be fixed so that you have a chance to try out yourself and get a little experience with Swift, but the overall concept of the app and all great features of this app we're going to do right in this tutorial. It's going to be a 2 or 3 part series. So let's get started and let me show you what we are going to create. The app is called ContactU, and it's going to solve a very common problem. Like you have to contact someone, but you don't want to forget it. And the Reminders app is great for that, but it misses some basic features like show me who I have to contact and directly give me the opportunity to contact this person. So this is what we are going to solve with this app, and let me show you how it works. Well, this is the basic user interface where you see a list which is empty right now, but let's add a to-do item, which lets us now choose a contact. So let's say choose your contact, and we don't have contacts yet. At this point, it would be great if we could just access the address book and add a contact from there, but I run into some trouble with this version of Xcode and with the iOS 8 SDK, so this is what I'm going to skip, and we will just create contacts ourselves. And if these errors with the address book UI framework and the address book framework are solved in one of the next betas of Xcode and of the iOS SDK, then we're going to integrate it, of course. So let's add a contact, and we've got a basic table view, a group table view here, which lets us add a first name. Let's say John as a name. It's basic John Doe, and he has an email address. Let's say John. And now someone also asked me that how do you get the iOS simulator keyboard back? Well, you have to go to Hardware, Keyboard, Toggle Software Keyboard, or press Command K, and let's say add john@doe.de r.com. And let's give him a phone number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And let's also give him a contact image, which is going to be empty. Well, let's see if there are some images here. Let's press Command Shift H. Take a look at the photos. There are actually a lot of photos. So let me just clean this and reset contents and settings, and let's try that again. Alright, so let's again add an item, choose our contact, plus, and let's do it real quick, John Doe, John at doe.com, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and choose an image. Okay, allow. There are the images. So let's choose an image and press done. And now we can choose John Doe from our contact list. And let's choose him. And let's say the purpose of our contacting him is ask for paper, whatever. And we want to contact him on this date, and let's say done. And this creates us a new to-do item in our list, and our app offers the ability to text, call, or email him. Since we're in the simulator, these are all features that we can't really use, but if you have a real device on which you can test the app, then you will be able to do so. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is setting up the app, setting up a data model, because we are going to use CoreData for this tutorial. So we will have a database in the background, which we will then use to store all the data in and also retrieve it. And therefore, you will get a extremely useful class from me, which is called Swift CoreData Helper, which will enable you to do CoreData stuff extremely easy. And if you have watched my CoreData tutorials, then you see how this class is created. Actually, it's a tutorial using Objective-C, but you can compare it then with this Swift CoreData Helper class and see how actually Objective-C is translated in Swift. And there's actually not much of a difference there. So, this is the idea, the general idea of the app, and you will get some start files for this tutorial, which is going to be an Xcode project, which has already set up the storyboard with all the view controllers. You'll get some dummy pictures for this view controller, and you also get this Swift CoreData Helper class, which I mentioned a minute ago, which we are going to use. So let's start. I'm going to use the completed folder to provide you with a completed version, which you will then find in the video description. So let's start our project. And as you can see, I've already set up all the view controller stuff here in the storyboard. We have a navigation controller that controls this this table view and this view controller here, and then we are going to have another segue from this add item controller, which will bring us to another table view controller where we can select our contact, and from there we have another segue which will bring us to the add contact view controller, which is actually as well a table view controller. So as I said, we're going to work with CoreData. So we first have to set up our data model. Also, if you want to know more about data models and what all this stuff in CoreData means, just watch the introduction video to CoreData on my channel, and you will see there what all these things like managed object contexts and entities and attributes, what they basically are. So let's start by opening this Xdata model, which is automatically created by Xcode if you click on the use CoreData button when you create a new project. So let me cancel that. And what we first have to do is create two entities for our project. So let me add an entity, and the first entity is going to be a contact. This is pretty straightforward actually, because we need contact information which we'll then place into a to-do item or a call item. We will just call it to-do item. So we have these two entities, and every entity is actually, or you could say it's roughly translated to a class, which we will later use in our code to work with. So this class is going to have properties like every class, and if you've worked with SQL before, or MySQL, then you know actually that this is the same thing. You could think that this is the same thing like a table which has different columns, and actually it resembles very much to this concept. But since CoreData is an object relational mapper, you use it quite differently from what you know about MySQL or SQL. So let's add the attributes or properties to our contact entity by clicking on this plus sign. And the first thing that we're going to need is an identifier, which will be a string, and we will use that for identifying purposes later when we develop our app. Next thing we need is going to be a first name, actually. Every contact should have that. It's also a string. And a last name, of course. Last name, also a string. We want to be able to text and call our contact. So we will need a phone number, which will start as a string. We will also need an email address. So let's give it an email attribute. Email, also a string. And the last thing we're going to need is actually a contact image. So let's say contact image. And this is not a string, this is a binary data. So we'll save our UI image objects later as NSData to our database. All right, these are all the attributes we're going to need for contact. So let's go to the to-do item, and the to-do item has actually three things. It has an identifier as well, which is going to be a string. It is going to have a due date until we have to call or mail our contact. So let's say due date. This is of course a date. And the last thing it's going to need is a node or description. We'll just call it node. And this is also going to be a string. Well, now if you have ever done something using databases, then you know that there are relationships between different tables in a database, or in our case, there are relationships between entities. So we could actually say that there is a one-to-one relationship between a to-do item and a contact, because one to-do item can only have one contact. So let's create this relationship by clicking on the plus under relationships here. Let's call this relationship contact. And the destination of this relationship is contact. And we not yet have an inverse. So let's create this. This inverse by going to the contact and say that we have now a relationship with to-do item. And the destination is, of course, a to-do item, and the inverse is contact. And so now we have in both entities the relationships set up. Here we have the destination contact and the inverse to-do item. And here we have the destination to-do item and the inverse contact. Now, as I said, there are two different kinds of relationships here. The relationship between one to-do item and a contact is one-to-one, because one to-do item can only have one contact. So let's go to the to-do item, click on the relationship, and have a look at it in the show the data model inspector. And as you can see, the type of this relationship is to one. We have a one-to-one relationship. But the other way around, one contact can be found in many to-do items, because sometimes you want to call one person more than once. So let's choose a too-many relationship here. And here we can see that we have actually a one-to-many relationship from contact to to-do item, because one contact can be in many to-do items, and the one-to-one relationship between to-do item and contact, because one contact, only one contact can be assigned to one to-do item. So enough about this about this database design stuff. Now let me show you the power of Xcode when it comes to creating this data model for us, or the classes that are associated with this data model. We can just click on editor and create NS managed object subclasses from our data model. So let's choose our ContactU data model, and let's say we want to manage both entities. And now you have to watch out, because strangely the language is set by default to Objective-C, but we want to use Swift classes. So select Swift and create. It asks us if we want to create a Objective-C bridging header, and I experienced some trouble without it. So let's just create one for hoping that our app is going to work later. Although we do not import anything here yet. So and now we have two classes, a contact.swift class and a todoitem.swift class, which then manages our entities. So because, as I told you, I ran into some trouble, let's just avoid it by giving those classes the ability to communicate with Objective-C, defining this as Objective-C, and this is the to-do item. And let's do the same with the contact class. Say contact here. Very well. So now we have defined our data model. We have created the NS managed our managed object classes, and now we are going to tune our user interface a bit by going to this second view controller add item and selecting. No, first we have to import our images. So let's go through the images assets. Open up the start files, selecting those images, just drag them into this place, and Xcode automatically decides which one is the 1x and 2x version. And now let's go to the storyboard and just choose our image. That's it. And the last thing we need to do for the preparation is actually dragging our CoreData helper into our project. So let's say copy items if needed, and our target is ContactU, say finish. Let's build our application for the first time. And you see it failed. Because we do not have, because we have to import CoreData here, import CoreData. And now it works. And the last thing we're going to do in this tutorial is cleaning up a little. So this is going to be, all these three files is going to be our data model. So say new group from selection, that's a data model. And here we've got our helper class. Let's also give this one a group, helper class. And now actually we're ready to begin. So stay tuned for the next tutorial.